Now The View, look at the opinions expressed in the newspapers today, and the Daily Telegraph says the Commons Speaker John Bercow had no business making a near-hysterical rant against Donald Trump. It suggests he's clearly thinking hard about his place in history. The Sun agrees, saying the Speaker is meant to be impartial, not to make showboating stands against the leader of the free world. Steve Bell in The Guardian shows Mr Bercow sticking two fingers up to President Trump, while on the back of a bowing Theresa May. Jonathan Freedland describes Theresa May and Benjamin Netanyahu's meeting as the world's smallest club at the Donald Trump Appreciation Society. He says the US president may disappoint them both, as he's volatile and unpredictable and ready to slam long-standing allies, as he has done with Australia. The Daily Express says Mr Netanyahu is right to call for more sanctions on Iran, and faced with a barbarous regime committed to the destruction of his country, he should be able to call on our support. The Times cartoon shows the defiant Syrian President Bashar al-Assad standing on the skulls of thousands of opponents killed by his regime. The paper says Western efforts, including that of Britain and the United States, should be directed at persuading the Kremlin to cooperate in replacing Assad. Well, joining me is the LBC radio presenter Iain Dale and Yasmin Alibhai Brown, the author and journalist. Welcome to you both. All right, Iain, you say you're not going to get a word in edgeways, so you can go first. John Bercow, is he right?
The fact is, no one has even suggested that President Trump should make a speech in Westminster Hall, so this is kite flying by John Bercow.
It is often a component of state visits.
It sometimes is, but usually when a president or a prime minister has been in power for some years. Now, I wouldn't have invited Donald Trump for a state visit this early in his presidency, but the invitation has been issued. Imagine if we withdrew it. Now, all John Bercow has done here is to basically divide the House of Commons, and he, as Speaker, is supposed to be a unifying force. And it was grandstanding. I mean, it's not the first time that John Bercow has done this. It is not the job of the Speaker of the House of Commons to do this sort of thing. If he wants to say that Trump shouldn't come to Parliament, then he does it behind the scenes with the government and with Buckingham Palace. He does not grandstand in front of the House of Commons like he did yesterday.
So secrets, always secrets, always secrets. Actually, you know what? There comes a moment, and there have been some. Edmund Burke, for example, when the East India Company was unleashing itself, he said this: trade at any cost makes beasts of men. And that's what Theresa May needed to remember before she issued.
She didn't.
No, she did. And he and Ken Clarke, I think, have been magnificent, breaking this. You know, they sniff power. People sniff power and then just follow it.
But it's largely because you agree with them, though, isn't it? That you think
I do agree with him, but I also think it's important for people to speak out. This idea that everything should be done behind, it's such a British thing. Secrets. Why secrets? He said something a lot of us agree with.
Could you explain to me why John Bercow gave President Xi of China such effusive praise when he introduced him in the Royal Gallery, or welcomed the Emir of Kuwait to the House of Commons in the way that he did?
Isn't there an argument which says, yes, this is unprecedented, and according to the old rules, this is bad behaviour? I don't think anyone would dispute that, but we are in a new era where Trump behaves in the way he does, where, as you say, an invitation has gone forward which you yourself wouldn't back, and he didn't say he should stop the state visit. He simply said, I'm responsible for this House, and the mood of this House is this man shouldn't
come. Don't let President Xi speak, or the Emir of Kuwait. At least have some consistency.
No, they did not speak. They went to Parliament.
President Xi spoke at the Royal Gallery. I saw him do it. John Bercow introduced him in the most effusive terms. This man has a record on human rights that would make you blush.
Yes, and I wouldn't have done it. But he spoke out, and I think it's true. We're in a different world, and it is up to good people.
So we judge America by different standards,
Can I now speak? You're the one who's always complaining not being allowed to speak. Please. I think we're in a new world order, and Trump represents a complete change in the way politics is run, in the way politicians behave. It is important. Now, I know quite a lot of people hate John Bercow. That's a different issue. You know, don't pick on the man.
I don't hate John. I would regard John Bercow as a friend. But if you're a friend of somebody, you tell them when you think they're doing something wrong.
I think he did the right thing. It may not work because, of course, the Lords has to make its own decision, and he should have consulted them. But he did the right thing, and a lot of people see this as a moral statement, and that's important.
I mean, what interests me in it is, I mean, you speak to your listeners every day, and last night I saw two reactions. I saw people here at Westminster, most of them looking askance at it, saying, I don't think this is right, the Speaker's overstepped the mark. And then I saw people out in the real world actually saying, thank God someone's done it. Yeah. Thank God someone's actually said, this man is pretty appalling.
Inevitably, this is something that really does split opinion. This broke just before the last hour of my show last night, so we did an hour's phone-in on it, and it was 50-50. A lot of people thought he'd done exactly the right thing, half the people didn't. But that illustrates the problem. The Speaker of the House of Commons is not meant to involve himself in partisan politics. He's supposed to be a unifying factor, unifying the House of Commons.
This was a moral statement. It was a moral statement about sexism, racism, equality, and the judiciary. No.
That's the job of politicians. He's supposed to be above politics now.
No, he is still a human being with a moral sense, and a moral sense that he, thank God, shared openly in a very secretive state. Fantastic, Mr. Bercow, my new best friend.
Well, you see, there's also... What about this argument, Ian, that... Jonathan Friedland makes, which basically is, it may be a bit of a mistake, that already, you know, Israel or the Israeli government, which was very pro-Trump getting elected, is being let down on things like they wanted the embassy moved to Jerusalem. That's kind of been put on the back burner. And that you can't rely on Donald Trump, so you probably shouldn't tie yourself too closely to him.
Well, you can't have it both ways, because Donald Trump is criticised, rightly, for a lot of the things that he's done, but he's actually delivered on his election promises. People say they want politicians who deliver on their promises.
Well, actually, one of them was to move the embassy, and he doesn't.
Well, indeed, but he has delivered on other promises. So when he delivers on promises, people don't like it, and when he doesn't, people don't like it. Look, I sound as if I'm defending Donald Trump. I'm really not. I don't like Donald Trump. I wouldn't have voted for him, and all the rest of it. But he's there, and he's someone that Britain has got to deal with, and I think Theresa May has done exactly the right thing.
How you deal with him. Do you just say, you are Mr. President, you are the leader of our greatest ally, so fine by us, whatever you do?
You know,
no, I absolutely don't think it's fine by us, whatever he does. And I think Theresa May has made clear that she doesn't agree with the immigration ban, for example. I think, again, if you are friends with someone, you have to speak truth unto them.
Listen, this is exactly what the Tony Blair-George Bush relationship came to. Although
Tony Blair never stood up to George Bush.
Well, I don't think Theresa May did. To make that tepid statement because public opinion here demanded it was not standing up to Donald Trump. We have to be very careful. We've been there before with the Iraq War. Don't follow a US leader, whatever his status, when he's patently wrong.
I agree with that. But if you've issued a state visit invitation, which they have done, what do you think the consequences now would be if we withdrew, which is what people like you are arguing for?
What would he do, bomb us?
Well, it wouldn't be great if he did,
to that level of argument.
Why be scared of a bully?
Nobody's scared of him. People think that Margaret Thatcher was sort of somehow in tow to Ronald Reagan, but she stood up to him when the occasion demanded it. She did stand up to me.
I agree with that.
All right.
I do.
We're going to have to leave it there. Thank you both very much. I think it was equal time there. I think you'd agree.
I had more, actually.
This is All Out Politics. Up next.